Hey guys, we're going to do a quick video on a cursor alternative where you don't have to pay anything for an AI-enabled IDE or code editor. You're completely using open source software. So the stack we're going to try today is Ollama running the AI model in the backend. We're using VS Code. Then we're also installing the continue extension and then pointing the continue extension to Ollama. From there, we can host Llama 3.2 by Meta as an open source model. We're also going to try Qwen3 Coder, the 30 billion parameter model, to see what that's like for coding. So all of this works on your laptop without the internet. So I turned the Wi-Fi off. I had no internet connection. I was able to keep coding with AI and vibe code, which is really cool. That means you can code anywhere. So even if you had a power outage and your laptop was still running, no internet, you can still vibe code. It also gets you out of paying Cursor for the Pro tier if you don't want to do that. And basically, I'm just going to keep testing different open source vibe coding stacks that are completely free and run locally. So let's check it out. So what I'm going to do is install Ollama on my Mac OS. Ollama is supporting Mac OS, Linux, and Windows. So just download the right one for you. So you just download the installer and then install it onto your local machine. Once you have Ollama installed, it sits in your sys tray or up the top right on Mac, and you can pull that up anytime. It's running in the background at a certain backend endpoint. But yeah, there is this little visual where you can just test it out that it works. So let's type something in. This is Llama 3.2 3 billion parameter model by Meta, running locally on this computer. Okay, so you can see that it is running. At the bottom right of Ollama, you can see it's got the common recent models that are quite popular. So Gemma 3, DeepSeek R1, Sailor 2, Llama 3.2, Qwen3, which we're going to test. Qwen3 Coder is what we're going to test today. And then the GPT OSS by OpenAI. Today, we're just going to test Qwen3 Coder, not the 480 billion parameter model. We're just going to test the 30 billion parameter model. I'll just run it locally as well, just to check it out. So I've just got an M3 MacBook, so it's not that powerful. So let's just see how quickly it. So we just go to Ollama/library to see the other models, and I'll show you where Qwen3 is. The one I'm interested in is Qwen3 Coder. So let's have a look at that. We can see pretty massive 30 billion parameter model is the one I'm using, and I can barely get it running on this computer. Okay, so I tried to install Qwen3 Coder. It pretty much crashed my computer. I think I need a GPU for that one. So what I'm going to do is just use DeepSeek R1. But this time I'm going to choose the latest update, which is 0528 on ollama.com/library. If you look at the coding comparison benchmarks, it's doing pretty well compared to Qwen3 Gemini 2.5. So looking pretty good. So if you do want to install a new model on your computer that has Ollama, all you need to do is run a simple command. So I'm just going to use the 8 billion parameter model. Let's see if I can get that running. So I'm just over here. I just run the command based on the website copy paste. So I'm just going to use the 8 billion parameter model. I just copy that run command at the top, and then I put 8 billion parameter model out at the end. As you can see, it's pulling down 5.2 gigabytes. So let's install that. I do have a desktop computer that has a GPU, so I'll do some testing with Qwen3 Coder later. The main goal is to vibe code on your own machine using an AI without the need for the internet and also without the need to pay for a pro tier. So we're doing this completely free using open source AI. Okay, so while this is installing, let's flick over to installing VS Code. So you just go to code.visualstudio.com/download. You download the VS Code for your machine, whether that's Windows, Linux, or Mac. I'm on Mac, so I've downloaded that. Once you've installed VS Code, just create a new folder in your documents called VS Code testing or whatever you want to do. You open this project folder up in VS Code, just like Cursor. But this time we're going to install a VS Code extension. So the extension we're going to use is Continue. So you just go to the extensions, search for Continue, and just make sure it's the correct one. So it's got 1.6 million downloads. It's Continue.dev is the website. So this can basically do similar features as Cursor. So it integrates custom AI agents across your IDE, so you can code and talk to an AI panel on the left or right, and help you update your code and push changes through AI. So it can do autocomplete. It can also have the AI agent panel on the right, which helps you edit multiple files. So this is really similar to Cursor, and that's why I'm calling it a Cursor alternative. Now, I've asked it to create a simple HTML file, and it's done that. So let me just show you what that looked like. So I've opened the Continue AI panel on the right here. So just make sure you're not using the VS Code built-in GitHub Copilot. Make sure you're using Continue. So you just look for the Continue logo, which is this double hexagon. So now that you've got the Continue AI panel, you can position it, whether it's top, left, bottom, wherever you want to put it. I put it on the right, so it's similar to Cursor. And the first example, I just asked it to create a HTML page, and it's done so. Now, the big thing I've done differently here is I've got it to be set up with a local agent, which is Ollama. So Ollama's running in the background. I already had Llama 3.2 installed, and I've connected it to this. So in order to add your own Ollama model, instead of using an internet model, by default, Continue lets you use ChatGPT or Claude. But what we're doing today is installing your own custom model, which is installed through Ollama, which I showed you already before. To set it up, you just go to the model selection down the bottom and go to model setting. Here you can see that I've set up a Llama 3.2 chat, and this is how to configure it. So basically, there's this little YAML file called config.yaml, and this is where you specify the settings. So let's figure out how to add another model. So we're going to use DeepSeek R1 8 billion parameter model. Let's also check to see that's downloaded. Okay, so I've pulled down the model. So yeah, here it is here. So I can test a Ollama model in two different ways. So we've got the terminal where you can just issue commands straight to Ollama and just say hi there, just to test how quickly it's responding before you start integrating it into your coding application. Yep, so it is responding. Yes, it is a thinking model, so it does take a little bit of time. So now I can also select it in the Ollama little test front end they have, which is pretty basic. I can go down, select DeepSeek. So let's just find it. DeepSeek R1 8 billion parameter model, and just say, are you there? So yeah, again, you'll probably, for my MacBook M3 Pro, it is taking a little bit of time to load, but it's pretty quick, in a couple of seconds. Okay, so we know that it's working locally, so let's flick back to VS Code, and we're going to add that in. So it is pretty simple to add another model. You just add a new section to the YAML file. So I've copy pasted the first one, Llama 3.2. This one we're going to call DeepSeek R1 8 billion parameter model chat. And then we're just putting in the DeepSeek R1 straight from the website. So it's DeepSeek-R1 semicolon 8B. So this is the DeepSeek model that we've installed. I just tested out just then. I've hit save on the config YAML. So let's see if I can now go to the settings of Continue, go down, yeah, and here it is. It's popped up in the drop down for the chat, and now I've selected that. And I'm just going to select that for chat and edit. I go into agents. I'm just double checking the settings here as well. Yeah. So basically when you go to the agent settings, it just opens up the the continue config YAML. So this is exactly what we want to do. Okay, so now that we've got DeepSeek R1 8 billion parameter model installed, we've got it selected here at the bottom of the continue chat. Let's start doing another vibe code. So I'll show you what the current output is, which is pretty basic. So a very, very simple index HTML file. So let's try and make this better. As you can see, it's a super simple repo. So yeah, it's just got an index file. And just to do another test, I'm going to turn Wi-Fi off. So let's see what happens here. Okay, I've turned the Wi-Fi off. It's still running because everything is downloaded and running locally. Just to prove it, I'll ping Google and it should not work. Let's create a new chat window with DeepSeek R1 selected. We'll just do something very simple like adding a background color. We're just going to add that into the HTML. So very simple, just to do a quick command. So as you can see, it is thinking. So this is in VS Code, it's thinking. I can expand that thinking bubble and I can actually see the output of DeepSeek. So I've asked it a very simple command to add a background color, and it does go through this process of overthinking. Yep, it's working with the current open file. Very simple. Yeah, you can see here it's figured out some hex values. It's going to change it. So it's basically a gradient in the background. In my opinion, it's overthinking this. Such a simple command, it's taking a long time to do, and it's proposing multiple options to change the code to. So let's wait for this to load, and then we'll see what it looks like. So I'm just going to copy paste this in. So basically replace the head with this. So this is a bit manual, too manual for me, especially when you've been using cursor. So yeah, I have pasted that into the header, and let's see what it looks like. Refresh the page. Okay, so it's given me some code that doesn't even work. And let's try and fix this. I think the background is not displaying, so I'll try this to just make sure we get this working. And refresh. Okay, so we got it fixed. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, not the best results. So let's try Llama 3.2. This is always my go-to. I always go back to the Llama models. They're pretty good. So instead of this, there is a gradient. So it goes from dark orange to light orange. Let's add a flashing, pulsating background. So I'm just going to create a new conversation using Llama 3.2. So I've switched to a different model. So I'll just highlight the code and I push Command L to just put that into the context of a new chat window. I've selected Llama 3.2, and then I'm just going to ask it to please change this code to flash the background orange automatically. Okay, so now Llama 3.2 is requesting to modify the file. So it's applying the code change. I'm not sure what the code change is going to be. Wow, that's really bad. So it didn't really do it the first time round, and then the second time round, after I rejected the first change, it's then come up with an actual way to load it using JavaScript. And it should flash every 2 seconds. So let's apply that code and see what it does. So yeah, it's applied, and I just hit accept. It saved the file, and then I go back here and refresh the file because it is HTML. And this should be flashing. I don't see the flash. So this really, compared to cursor, is not going it's not as powerful as cursor right now. So we're going to have to spend some more time getting this fully offline open source vibe coding stack better. But yeah, I'll keep testing out different models. If you guys have got a better stack at home that you've figured out, I was testing out Continue with VS Code today using Ollama in the background. I will try Qwen as well in a next video. This is pretty basic changes, so not really that impressive with the results. It's pretty sad. So VS Code with Continue using open source Llama 3.2. Couldn't even make a basic web page. It can generate some code locally without the internet. Okay, so now we're just going to try something else. So we're not going to use Llama 3.2 or DeepSeek R1. We're going to try Qwen2.5 Coder. So I'm only using that on this computer because it is an old MacBook M3 Pro from 2 years ago. It can run Qwen 2.5 Coder, but it can't run Qwen 3. I'm going to save Qwen 3 Coder for the next video. I'll do it on my desktop, which has a GPU. As you can see from the stats, Qwen 2.5 Coder, it is 4 months old. It is trained on a lot of programming languages, so it does have Python and it does have TypeScript and Java and JavaScript. So pretty happy with all the different languages it can talk, and it does have pretty good results for coding benchmarks from a few months ago. All we need to do is run the command Ollama run Qwen 2.5-coder 7 billion parameter model. So you just copy paste that LLM model name from the Ollama library website, make sure you get it right, and then you download that model onto your local laptop. So we just wait for that to download. All right, so once it is downloaded, you'll see that Ollama run command has fully pulled down the model. We then have to configure VS Code and the Continue extension to support the new model. So we go into the settings and add model. We just select the provider as Ollama, and then we point it to the local model that we have installed. This page does detect Ollama models. You should be able to see Qwen 2.5 Coder model pop up, and then we just select that. Now that we've added the new LLM to Continue extension, it should be available there. Next to the agent selector, you select the model, and then you can start issuing commands. The other thing to do is make sure that it's added to your config.yaml file. It automatically added it, but it got the model name wrong, so I had to correct it. So make sure you keep an eye out on that. Otherwise, you'll run into a little error saying the model's not available. So just check your config, make sure the model is there and it's typed correctly. So once you've got the model available, we're just going to issue a new command. So what I'm going to do now is just make a simple orange gradient background with a button. The button will take the person to a Pokemon eBay seller to buy a Pokemon card. There will be a little Pokemon title for the web page and a little bit of text. And we'll make sure that it opens up in a new window whenever they click through. This isn't as seamless as Cursor, so this does have an extra step in between. When you ask the AI model a question, it responds with a proposed change in a JSON format. Basically, it's telling you what it's doing, so it's going to change a file. It tells you the file name that it's going to change, and then it tells you the bits of code that it has to make changes to. Then you have to hit apply, which then applies the code change to the file. So all of this is an extra step that doesn't need to be there, so Cursor does do it a little bit better. It also takes about 10 seconds to load. You let it load, and eventually it does make the changes. Again, there is red sections of the code that are going to get removed. There's green sections which are going to get added, and you can review and approve or reject each code change that's coming through. Okay, so we've completed the code change. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, and we've vibe coded a little basic web page with the title, some description of text, and then a button that opens in a new window taking you to eBay. So yeah, that works. It has the search term on eBay as well, so it does list Pokemon cards. Would I recommend people move away from Cursor Free or Cursor Pro even over to this open source coding stack right now? I wouldn't recommend right now. It did take me a couple of shots to get a stack that actually worked to a basic level. So Qwen2.5 coder is pretty good. Integrating that with Continue, I have mentioned there is extra steps. It is a little bit slower. There are some bugs compared to Cursor versus Continue plus Ollama. But yeah, I am keen to get Ollama with open source free models working. People are requesting. There is an appetite out there to not have to pay for Cursor for their pro tier when they run out of free tier. Again, Cursor is a fork of VS Code. There's plenty of extensions like Qwen and Continue.dev that try to do what Cursor does. And I'll be testing out on this channel some of these solutions. Hopefully I can find a really good, powerful solution that is 100% open source and 100% free. So this is a workable, basic solution for vibe coding. It isn't up to the standard of Cursor Pro. Really keen to get something at that level and not going to migrate back to this stack until I can get it to a Cursor level, but I'll keep trying. Let us know if you have found an ultimate vibe coding stack that's 100% free, 100% open source. Okay, that finishes the video. Today we tried out Qwen2.5 Coder, an open source AI model running on top of Ollama, installed locally on my machine. I turned the internet Wi-Fi off, so we can basically run a vibe coding setup without the internet, without paying any premium fees. It's all completely free running locally. So in short, it's basically VS Code plus the Continue extension, pointing that to my Ollama backend where I'm running Qwen2.5 Coder. So yeah, that's a cool setup. It seems to work for vibe coding. I created a little Pokemon card game website that links to eBay and has a gradient orange background. So very simple HTML file. What I'm going to do is switch over to my desktop for the next video and test out Qwen3 Coder, which I hear is a lot better. It's a lot bigger as well, 30 billion parameters, which pretty much overloaded my 2-year-old MacBook. So we'll run it on a GPU and see what that's like. That's it. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.